You ever walk into a courtroom thinking you know exactly how the day will go, only to realize the whole script's about to flip? That was Ashmore County Courthouse, that morning, packed benches, tight faces. Even the air seemed suspicious, you know what I mean? People didn't usually come out for civil hearings, but word spreads quick when a cop's on trial for putting a kid in the hospital. Officer Valerie Consincade sat at the defense table, looking polished, calm, like she'd already won. Across from her, a black mother wrung her hands around a cheap purse, fighting not to cry. Her son, 14, was still home, wrist in a cast, eyes swollen shut, bruises snaking down his ribs. He'd just gone to buy a soda. Valerie claimed he tried to steal it, said he lunged at her, left her no choice. The store video, though what was left of it, showed the boy leaving calm as Sunday morning. Folks from his block testified, said he was quiet, polite, offered to pay. But Valerie didn't give him the chance. The judge, Grayson, sat slouched up on the bench. A white man who looked like this wasn't his first time zoning out in court. Barely glanced at the mother, didn't press Valerie, snapped at the plaintiff's attorney for getting too emotional. Then the side door squeaked, and in walked a man in gray, presence, more than a person. No folder, no badge, just this careful stillness, folding himself into a seat at the back like he was there to watch history. Valerie's lips curled. She thought she was in control, but let me back up a sec. Testimony droned on. The mother recounted how her boy came home, soda is still in hand, face a mess, whispering, "I didn't do anything, Mama." The pediatrician rattled off the injuries, bruises, swelling, nothing fatal, but plenty to keep a kid out of school. Judge Grayson barely blinked. The man in gray, though, his eyes locked on Valerie like he was reading the pages she didn't say out loud. Then the defense called Officer Tully, who parroted Valerie's story, trusted her judgment, didn't see what happened. The plaintiff's lawyer tried to poke holes, but the judge cut her off. "Move on," he barked. Not a criminal trial, but every breath in that room sure felt like one. Finally, Valerie took the stand. Calm, rehearsed, she spun her story: erratic behavior, personal safety, the whole script. Her eyes didn't waver. The mother looked like she'd break. The courtroom was so quiet you could hear people's hearts pounding. But when Valerie glanced up, she locked eyes with the man in gray. She flinched just for a heartbeat, and that was the first crack in her armor. Who was he? Most folks didn't know, but he was Miles Duvall, just appointed chief of police, watching to see what justice looked like when no one important was supposed to be watching. He didn't flinch, didn't smile, just took notes and waited. That's when the mood shifted. Nervous whispers from the back, folks wondering if this was all a show or if something was about to break. During a break, Valerie leaned toward Officer Tully and spat. Another one of them, thinking he'll fix the world with a stare. Tully didn't answer, but his face said he'd heard it all before. Meanwhile, Anita Coleman, the black court clerk, tried to offer Miles a bottle of water. Before he could accept, a white bailiff stepped between them, shutting her down. Miles declined with a small nod, nothing loud, but enough for Anita to catch his meaning. That's how it went in Ashmore County. Little shows of power, barely hidden. Back in session, the judge let Valerie repeat her script. The gallery felt the same old story, the same old ending. But Darlene Bishop, sitting in the rear, whispered to her neighbor, "He's waiting for this room to tell on itself." And she was right. Valerie's words tripped for the first time, her voice trembling as Miles watched. For the first time, she seemed unsure. Court recessed, but tension didn't. Valerie walked past Miles, badgeless but cocky, slid a folded slip of paper into his coat. Then she called out, loud enough for all to hear, "This man's acting suspicious, might have unauthorized documents." The officers searched him, found the slip-restricted personnel files. Valerie smirked, thinking she trapped him. The judge ordered any disruptions removed. But Anita, the clerk, saw Valerie plant the evidence. She didn't say anything yet. Darlene murmured, "He's letting her bury herself." Back in the courtroom, Miles was silent. The gallery watched, wondering if this was it, if justice would once again get swept under the rug. Valerie strutted to the stand, chin up, voice clear, and asked to dismiss all charges. "The boy was aggressive," she said. Judge Grayson, not even pretending, started to comply until Miles finally stood. "Your Honor, that won't be necessary." His voice wasn't loud, but the room froze. He walked to the bench, laid out his badged chief of police, appointed last week by the governor. You could hear the air change. Valerie paled, the judge stiffened, officers fidgeted. Miles stared Grayson down. I watched a courtroom twist the truth because it thought no one important was watching. But I was. He listed it all motions denied. Mother silenced, evidence planted. You know what the real threat is, Your Honor? It's a system so used to lying it panics when someone finally tells the truth. The room came alive, gasps, murmurs, people sitting up straighter. Miles didn't yell, didn't plead, just stood, unyielding. This court is no longer under your protection. Effective immediately. The doors burst open. DOJ agents rolled in, a monitor flickered on. Hallway footage. Valerie shoving Miles, muttering hate under her breath. Then audio. Push them a little, they show their true face. The gallery erupted, some in horror, some in relief. Miles read off a notebook, listing all the ignored complaints against Valerie, all the times Grayson turned away. There's a difference between being a judge and being a shield for the lawless. That line ends here. Agents moved to suspend Grayson. Miles, soft voice now, almost gentle, said, "Justice doesn't whisper anymore. It speaks, and it listens." The room fell quiet, no cheers, just stunned, grateful silence. Valerie's seat was empty the next day. She'd vanished. Grayson sat with his hands folded, knowing the tide had finally turned. Miles placed a thick binder on the bench, every mishandled case, every voice silenced. "This room belongs to the people," he said. The applause, when it came, was hesitant folks still afraid to believe things had changed. But word spread fast. An online petition calling for Grayson's removal hit 30,000 signatures overnight. The mother of the boy finally stood, voice steady. "My son stopped talking after that day. But today I saw him smile." Even Grayson dropped his gaze. Just as Miles was about to leave, a marshal hurried and Valerie had been arrested, caught by her own play, evidence planted, abuse of power playing for everyone to see. The video of her in cuffs spread like wildfire. But what really went viral? A photo of Miles walking out of court, face unreadable, captioned, "He never raised his voice, but the whole system heard him." Cable news couldn't get enough. Old teachers, moms, even kids wrote letters, "You gave us back our dignity." Some pushed back, said it was all too political, but they couldn't drown out the quiet power of that moment. Miles refused interviews, just read every letter that landed on his desk. That night, a small vigil formed on the courthouse lawn, candles, chalk drawings, a little boy tracing the outline of a gray coat. No speeches, just gratitude. Upstairs, Miles watched from a window, silent but proud. The next morning, he walked the streets, people waved, some just nodded. A little girl pressed a daisy into his palm. He got coffee at a corner shop. The owner pointed to the newspaper, headline, "One man, no noise. All justice." Miles just nodded, took his coffee black, watched the sun rise, and let the world keep spinning. Later that night, at home, he penned a letter to the boy at the heart of it all. "Your name matters. So it does your truth. You didn't have to shout to be heard, and you didn't need to win to be right. I saw you. I believed you. Someday, someone else will need you to do the same. Be ready." He slipped the letter in an envelope, walked the quiet courthouse steps, and stood at Walino Press. No lights, just the city behind him and his shadow falling forward. He was just a man who never raised his voice, but made his system listen. And as he turned to leave, you could feel a kind of silence that finally meant something had changed. So, let me ask you, who decides what justice looks like? Is it the one who shouts loudest, or the one who stands firm when the room hopes he'll stay quiet? If you've got a take on it, share your thoughts, drop a comment, because stories like this, they don't end when the court adjourns. They begin with what we choose to do next.